You're more powerful than I expected. Looks like I'll have to reach into a power further beyond.
You think that's enough to stop me? I can also reach a form far powerful than this one.
Oh yeah? I'd like to see you try. Okay, I know I've been talking about Dragon Ball a lot lately, but this one will be the last one for a while. I'll still talk about Dragon Ball in the future, but I'll take a break from it for now. I made a One Piece video not too long ago, but for today, I'm going to focus on Dragon Ball, specifically Dragon Ball Z. I really like the villains in Z, so I wanted to talk about them. Also, this video contains spoilers. I didn't really know how to structure this video, so I'll just go through every saga's main villain. And starting with the Saiyan Saga, Vegeta was the focused antagonist. Now Vegeta was the first crazy threat that was brought to Dragon Ball. I mean, there was King Piccolo, but he wanted to rule over the Earth. Then there was Raditz, and he just wanted Goku to kill 100 Earthlings. But Vegeta was a character who was capable of destroying the planet. He was pretty intimidating when he first showed up. He looked kind of underwhelming when you see him next to Nappa, but when he started fighting, we knew he was the real deal. The Saiyan Saga brought the story of the tale Goku had as a kid to a full circle, but Vegeta really showed us what the Great Ape form was capable of. It could actually be controlled rather than just unconsciously destroying stuff. Vegeta really showed the next steps of Dragon Ball to anyone who started from the original series. But if you were like me, you probably started in Z. I didn't even know there was a part before Z for many years. But Vegeta was not as amazing compared to the rest of the villains here. After the Saiyan Saga, the Frieza Saga came, and from this part onwards, all the sagas were named after the main villain. And if you couldn't guess already, the main villain is Frieza. This is hands down the series' peak villain. I don't care how you look at it, whether it's in power or in design, Frieza is a true villain. This is the most intimidating character that can choose to do the actions he does. I won't go over the Dragon Ball Super things because that won't be fair to the rest of the villains, and because I like this version of Frieza the most. From the start of Namek, we learned that there's a power far greater than Vegeta's, and the fact that that was even possible was crazy. We see the Ginyu Force in action, and that alone showed some ridiculous power. But when it came to Frieza, that's where it went crazy. Vegeta saying that Frieza had another form? What was that even going to look like? Well, he's taller now, and that was pretty crazy. But then after Piccolo came, he decided to go another form up. 2 transformations? How? And this is probably the scariest looking one. This is actually my favorite form for some reason. But then there was one more form, his final form. At first, it didn't look like much, but everyone who was fighting him so far was too scared to move, even Vegeta. You knew it was too strong if Vegeta, the person who's like, Frieza's nothing compared to me, is too scared to fight. No one could literally hit him. He tortured Vegeta to the point of him crying, and no one could stand up to him. No one but Goku. That entire fight, from base Goku to Super Saiyan, was the most phenomenal fight in Dragon Ball. It was like watching a movie. Something I don't see many people bring up in terms of Frieza is the fact that this character can't die unless he was completely blasted to ashes. He survived after he got cut by his own death saucer, and he was even still living after Trunks cut him up to a bunch of pieces. He could literally not die unless you blast him. He really is scary. Cell is the next villain. This character is pretty interesting. This isn't a villain from outer space like the Saiyans and the villains from Namek. This one's from Earth. How can an Earth villain be more powerful than Frieza, a fearsome character? Easy, just make a robot. Yes, Cell counts as a robot. Well, more of an android. An android is pretty much a human modified to a robot or something like that. But Cell isn't human. No, this is a bug-like creature with cells from every strong fighter who's been on Earth. So even Frieza's cells aren't cells since he came to Earth as a mech. Cell's first appearance looks so disgusting. Like, how do you even make this design? But that adds up to the intimidating factor. Cell has the ability to absorb people's energy, and this is pretty disturbing, especially from that one scene in the anime. Cell has 2 forms, one after absorbing Android 17 and one after absorbing Android 18. Perfect Cell is probably my favorite Cell design, and this is where I was like, man, this character really is strong. He was literally just just vibing and checking out his perfect form and casually tanking hits from both Krillin and Super Saiyan Trunks. If you can't call him strong after that, I don't know what you can call him. He's also the first, and I'm pretty sure the only character who can literally get hit by Krillin's Destructo Disc and not take any damage from it. Frieza can still get hurt from it, and Nappa also got hurt from it, but Cell literally made it disintegrate like it was nothing. Cell was also the first character with super OP regeneration. As long as he had one cell in his body, he could regenerate. I don't know how much of a villain I can call him, because even though he was intending to destroy the planet, he did it because he was commanded to.
At least I think he was.
But regardless, this is such a cool villain. And the final villain we have is Buu. Oh boy, this character was probably the scariest of them all. This character is a literal menace to the universe. Where to begin with this one? Fat Buu is his weakest form, but he was still so strong. This character was wiping out the earth left and right as he was commanded to. But that's the thing, he was commanded to do it. So when he was free from his commands, he was somewhat more peaceful, until his evil side ate him and turned him to Super Buu. This version's even stronger. Not even a Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks can do much to him, and it's thanks to his regeneration. This character is close to invincible. He regenerates so much faster than Cell can ever, and it almost makes him seem like he doesn't take damage. It's almost like Marco from One Piece. The craziest thing I think about Super Buu is the fact that he literally killed everyone on the planet in mere seconds while standing in one spot. And to top it all off, he did it to fight Gotenks faster. Super Buu has a small touch of good in him because of Fat Buu, but he's mainly evil. His craziest technique though is the ability to absorb anyone and literally take attributes from the person he absorbed. He even gets stronger after absorbing someone. But the crazy version of him wasn't until he became his original form, Kid Buu.
A kid?
Although he shrunk in size, this is his absolute strongest form. Literally pure evil. This is what he was created as, a being to just destroy any planet in seconds. And that's the very first thing he decided to do once he regressed to this form. Now he's powerful and he isn't limited to thinking. He literally acts before he thinks, and that's probably what makes him scary. Even though he takes damage, that doesn't matter because he can easily regenerate. And the same thing when he destroys planets. Even though his body gets destroyed as well, it easily regenerates as long as there's a piece of him left. Who is crazy enough to make a being like this? This was a character that literally took the efforts of everyone to defeat. And I'm not just talking about Goku, Vegeta, or any of the Z fighters. I'm talking about everyone like the Kais, the people of Earth, and the Namekians. This truly is the strongest of the strong when it comes to Dragon Ball villains. And remember, I'm only talking about up to Z. Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z weren't afraid to make the most iconic villains ever. I could look at any of the designs from these villains and be like, this character looks pretty cool. All had very different personalities, so they would never feel like the same story is being told. Abilities that felt very fresh and fights that would leave great impressions to anyone who looked at them. This series truly had some cool villains in manga and anime history.
Dragon Ball Z will always have my favorite villains. These characters are hard to beat in terms of new characters that are getting introduced. And believe me, the series has been trying for a while now. I'll never forget the impact that these characters brought and how they ended up shaping the story of Dragon Ball. If it weren't for them, Dragon Ball Z wouldn't be as amazing as it is, in my opinion at least. What do you guys think about these villains? Anyways, time to rewatch Dragon Ball Z for the 784th time.